Hey guys, Autist here, Caliber Autist, and I want to update some numbers to my most autistic Caliber debate video because, well, at least Google's Gemini, probably AI, is pretty bad, I realized. And I used Grok today and things are a little bit better. I realized that some of the 9mm data was skewed better towards 9mm because it gave overexpansion. I, asked it for its sources, said only source this. It seems to have a real problem with isolating the sources you say and not just grabbing random shit. And that's a real problem talking ballistics data because clear synthetic BS is clear synthetic BS, has nothing to do with organic gel. Okay, so when you say it only used federal organic gel results, it was giving a 0.69 expansion for some of the 9mm. And I have the real data from federal directly from Chris Locke, the head ballistician. And the only one that expands to 6.9 is current 147 grain HST from a Glock 47 barrel. So, 4.5-inch barrel, not from the 3.7 I was using. Now using 3.6-inch for both 9mm and 40, and 3.77 for 45. And I have reasons I did that. And I'm going to update some of the 380 data. This isn't the best video because I don't have the best energy because I have walking pneumonia. Okay, so there we go, or something worse. I wanted to show some of this 380 data. 2.8-inch, 3.42, like the Ruger Security. I held one. I do kind of like it. I want one. And a 3.8-inch, like a Beretta 84. So it does matter. I've been saying it matters. Again, the little itty-bitty ones, way less likely to not expand through even 2 layers of clothing. Definitely not 4. Definitely not heavy winter. Okay? So that matters quite a bit. But let's say we got expansion with probably one of the best or the best hollowpoint Hyrdashok Deep. Organic gel would be from a 2.8-inch, penetration 14.2, 47. From 3.4, 13.9, 49. From a 3.8, we kick it up to 13.6, 51, maybe more like 49 still. But the difference is between permanent wound cavity, McPherson adjusted permanent wound cavity, goes from 23 to 15 to 12. 23, I'm sorry, minus the delta difference from 124 standard pressure HST results. So from 23% less effective to 15% less effective to 12% less effective, destroying the tissue, causing blood loss than 9mm HST. Okay. So something to consider there, that barrel length in 380, as I've been saying, there's data saying, yes, it's different. And of course, you're way more likely to get hollow point expansion through multiple layers of clothing at with a longer barrel. Excuse me. Other data is the same until we go to, the 9mm and the comparisons. So going to 3.6-inch barrel, we're going to give 57 expansion with 124, 59 expansion with 124 plus P, and 65 expansion with 147. It was giving 69 before, and that really skewed things. So the PWC numbers, because it's radius squared again, go way, way down. So the differences 40 and 45 are actually, from what I can tell, going to be a lot more effective. Okay? It just is what it is. And it skewed it, the previous video. So 165 and 180, I didn't do 155 anymore because it's discontinued. 165 40 has 27% more momentum and 62% more tissue crush or total wound volume or PWC. I mean, kind of, but PWC adjusted McPherson for the hollow point profile, all times 0.82. 180 grain, 31% more momentum than 124 HST, 62% PWC. So either of those HST loads from short barrels, again, this is from a 3.6 because that's what I have, and I was carrying in the wintertime, 62% more than 124 HST. Now, 124 plus P HST does bump that PWC up by 8%. 147 grain, if it expands, if the barrel length is right, and the clothing is less enough, from a 3.6 inch is 35 more. It has more lettuce spread. It does. However, you got to train with 147, and earlier we did a 3.4 inch barrel. You're getting iffy depending on how many layers of clothing. Once you kick it up to 3.6, you're way more likely to get that probably expansion. I mean, because you're right on expansion threshold through the layers of clothing kind of thing. And I've always said for 4 inch or longer, maybe 147, because the muzzle energy is really low. Now, that doesn't really matter. It's more momentum, but still, I'd like them to know they got shot. So maybe that matters. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Now, 45 HST. From a G30 barrel, 3.78, I decided to go with that to say, yeah, definitely we're going to get expansion. 3.3 shield might, it might not. Depends on the lot. Low velocity round, high velocity round. 1 or 2 layers of clothing versus 5 layers of clothing. So going with the kind of shortest I would recommend, and I've tested as low as 3.62. Look at as 45 for floods. Look at my ballistics playlist I made for all you guys. But the 45, yeah, it's doing more damage. It does 46% more momentum. Just talking 230 grain HST here. If I give it 14.2 inches of penetration based on approximately 825 feet per second, I think that's about right. We're going from organic gel data, old Vista insert sheet actual data. That data was from the 4.5 inch full size Glocks. So we reduced the velocity, we decreased the expansion, we increased the penetration a little bit. If it will only extend it to 0.72, it's 85% more damage shot for shot than the 124 HST. 85% more damage. If we give it 80, and I think 80 is more realistic after I looked over the Grok data. Like, well, I've tested this from a 3.62 and a 4.25 myself in my modern meat target. Check the ballistics video. They're pretty cool stuff. Teaches you about anatomy, physiology too. If it goes from 0.72 to 0.80, it's a big increase, but it's radius squared, guys, so it's 120% more PWC, McPherson adjusted PWC, permanent wound cavity. So way faster blood loss. Outside of CNS, it's blood loss. Anyone that doesn't get that, I don't know what's wrong with them. If you don't hit the spine, you don't, it's about blood loss. Hopefully you hit major organs like the heart would be best, liver, that kind of thing. That causes a lot of blood loss, but we want as big as possible to cause as most blood loss as possible. So I do say 124 plus P HST is the game changer in 9mm that really ups it. Again, guys, if we compare something like a 45 HST to a cheap Winchester white box or critical defense or something that doesn't expand that much, the difference between calibers, again, it's radius squared, okay? So penetration times radius squared, that's volume of a cylinder. Then it's times 0.82 for an expanded hollow point. Again, McPherson, 66 only for friggin' stupid FMJ or lead round nose crap. Don't FUD with FMJ. Okay? And the only thing that gets 100% value is a full, not a semi, not a kind of, a full WADCUTTER. Okay? But an expanded hollow point is going to do more damage, even times 0.82, because there's, it's not fully expanded. Typically, the pedals, and there's space in between. But anyway, 45 does do a lot more damage if we're talking kind of these larger sizes, better carry, concealed. Can you get away at 9mm with the 3.4? Yeah. Can you sometimes get away with 3.1? Like I say, you got to have HST. Now, 3.4 to 4 inch, 9mm, there's not a big difference because the slightly more expansion is going to give you slightly less penetration. So when you look at PWC, given that you've already reached, 12 inches or 10.5, whatever you set as minimum civilian self-defense penetration number, you need, it still kind of evens out. Same thing with 40. You go from a Glock 40 27, a G 3.4 inch to 4 inch like Glock 23. It's going to kind of even out the same. 45, you get into low velocity issues. 3.3-inch shield, probably likely to expand. Maybe, maybe not. Heavy winter, maybe not. I think once you go to a 3.78 in the Glock 30, you're more likely that it's always going to work. Certainly SIS, who kind of developed it by throwing a 36 slide onto a 30 SF frame. They're like, yeah, and we shoot bad guys all the time. 3 strikes, you're out crowd, and we put quite a few of them where they belong. So 45 does do a lot more damage. And you know what? You got a pretty much guaranteed 62% more with the 40. So whether it's 85 to 120 with the 45, we got some ogive issues and we have some barrel length issues. You go short in 45, kind of iffy. But the 40, 62% more, that's still a lot more. And I just wanted to point out the difference. The delta is from -12 from the 9mm with the long barrel 380 for that summertime carry like I talked about, versus -23 with the little micro LCP Max Bodyguard 2.0s. So by PWC value, it's going to be quite a bit better with the longer barrel. So it's something to know. I just wanted to update it because the difference didn't look as big as I knew it really was. And I'm like, the only time I've had that big of a number is with 147 from a full size. Now, I got punch data too. The punch data was from a 43 or 43X or 3.42-inch barrel, something like that, 3.43, whatever it is. And the punch data was good. I think the punch data I had was like 13.6 heavy clothing, organic gel from Federal, and I believe 0.60, which is pretty similar to like what we're given here, 12.6, 0.59. These might even be a little bit better. Given that punch data. Yeah, the 124 plus P might be better. It might be at 13.5-inch penetration and 0.60. So it might be a little bit better. And the 124 is right about there. We gave it 12.4 inches while AI did, Grok did. So Grok's better than whatever the Google shit. It was way more stupid today than last week. Like, it wouldn't do anything. I spent hours trying to get it to do shit that it did last week and it wanted to do it. So anyway, there's the update. Kaboom. Give me some love. I hope I don't die from pneumonia and lupus. So anyway, at least the first. The second, I don't know if I can ever help. But say happy birthday to me. Bye, bitches.